Now, this has got the potential tonight to be, I think the term is a hot mess that the youth are using. Because, and I hope you can all see and hear me okay, yeah. As I explained to the host of Highlands that I have backstage, this was sort of planned, let me see, this is December, October, about 5 months ago. And it was a very rough plan then. And then I sort of forgot about it, and then it came back on me, and it came back very quickly. And as I say, hot mess could be a good term here, but let's just roll with it. So if you just hold on a minute, I'll be back. Corny jokes are free, right? Blind challenge time. But before we do, right, I'm going to get in. I want to get into the chat first. Yeah, I'll do that first. See, I'm getting all flustered already. I haven't even started yet. We drop the black stuff. Calm me down a bit. Alistair Gray was in. Good evening, Alistair. How are you? Relaxing Mood Shop. David, hope you're well, mate. Whiskey with Molly is in the background. We will explain why Ben isn't in along with the rest of the Highlands in a moment. Whiskey from the Vestibule. That's a new one on me. That's interesting. Lee J. Brown. We will see Lee J. Pete Head Frank. Good to see you. Tim Hoekstra. How are you, buddy? Cheesemeister 66. Stephen, good to see you. North Coast Drama, we will see. Let me see. Scrolling. Derek McGrainer, Danny Keenan, Des, Craig Blair. How are you, Craig? I was speaking to Craig the other day. Good to see you. David Owen, The Dark Side. It's good to see so many in the chat here. It really is. Jimmy Legg. How are you, Jimmy? Desi Vleeland. Hello. Luna Aaron. Neil Laverty, we will see. Jason Bradford. This is a good crowd. It's all the usual. Even Michael Henry's made it in tonight. Fernando. Papa Q. Jerry, how are you? Hell's Wed wouldn't be a party without you or Jimmy Jazz. So there you go. That's everybody in at the moment. I'm going to go blurry. I know for a fact I'm going to go blurry at some point. But no, a good crowd in tonight. Right. I want to say one very important thing before I move on. This is the Christmas. We'll wave my pen about. This is the Christmas. My Christmas. I was talking about my Christmas party. Sort of blind challenge, and the blind challenge seems to have become the thing of the end of season or whatever. And it's the Highland Battalion, and they're all here except one. And I just want to put this in now before I do anything more live, because there's one guy missing tonight who would have been here, but we all know that our friend Alan passed away since the last time I did a live stream. So I know yous are all with me on this and saying that our thoughts still go out to his family, and he would have been here. So here's the Alan. He is sadly missed. Right. So let's move on. Jeff Whiskey's in. Good to see you, Jeff. Will we start? Because I think if we start, that'll settle me. Because it's a blind challenge, and I've really started to fall in love with blind challenges. It has become sort of one of those things in the background that I think there's just a certain amount of enjoyment in it. So let's bring in, shall we, for the crack. Sorry, I'm just working. There's an awful lot of people in the background here tonight, so there we go. Let's bring in our first guest. And he always seems to, I don't know what has happened or how this has worked out, but he seems to be dragged in first, kicking and screaming generally. But here he is anyway. Your friend of mine, Neil Laverty, the occasional drummer. There he is.
Hello.
Neil, how goes it?
All right, John. Good evening, folks. Hope all's good.
There we are. Neil, good to see you, my friend. You and I have seen quite a bit of each other this last few months.
I have, unfortunately, yes.
Well, thanks. I was going to say it's always lovely. Look, I mean,
Yeah, well, we have, yes.
what was I going to say? What was I going to say? Unfortunately, and I thought this was as good a place as any to tell you that I don't think we're actually going to get our pre-Christmas get together. Anybody? Well, Neil and I usually get a pre-Christmas pint, just before at some point before Christmas. But I mean, this day week's Christmas, and I'm afraid, mate, I don't have time this year, but definitely as soon after Christmas as possible, mate.
January's a good month.
It is. It is. We get a wee pint.
Yeah.
And we'll all get together and talk about the Highlands behind their back.
Wouldn't do such a thing.
Kilco's Whiskey Musings is in. How are you, my friend? Right. You've had 5 samples. I mean, the thing about it is, one of the reasons, and this was something that I didn't mention, one of the things that I didn't actually get to say or forgot to say at the start was this is possibly the only year or the only time that I'll get to give samples to every Highland. So as everybody can take part in this blind tasting, and I'm delighted. I appreciate that you're all in there tonight because I mean, the fact that everybody made themselves available, I think is fantastic. And I really appreciate that. So thank you guys. So there's 10 of us in here tonight. Currently, it's coming and going. You've all got samples, but the thing about it was, as I said at the very start, I've had this in the planning, or this has been in the arrangement since August. So I was pouring those samples, I believe, around August for you guys. So just to put this into perspective, Neil, you've had these samples since probably September.
Yeah.
Sitting there looking at you across the room without you being able to actually try them.
Yeah.
So when did you actually open them?
About 5 o'clock this evening.
Right.
Just come in from work, crack them open, let them breathe a wee bit, and I've changed them 3 times. The order's 3 times already. But a couple of standouts. So,
well, the thing about it is, you're saying changing the orders. So at the minute, all you guys have, I gave you all a piece of paper. I believe it's that long ago, I can't even remember. And all it said on it was your favorites. So there's 5 drams. And did I even give you stickers?
You did.
Oh, that's all right then.
You did.
And so have you selected your favorite to least favorite?
Yeah, I have.
Well, go you ahead then. And
changed 3 times, but I locked them in, seeing it's might as well. So
he's locked it in. He's locked it in, ladies and gentlemen.
What way do you want them? If you want them from the worst up or from the best down?
Tell me your worst first.
Is black. Black was the worst. Although it's still quite enjoyable.
Okay. And fourth?
Fourth is yellow.
Do you know, I'm so unprepared for this that I don't even know what those are currently because I have it jotted down elsewhere and it's not in front of me. And third?
Is that orange or red? Is it orange?
Red it would have been, aye.
Red,
Second?
Green.
Which leaves...
Pink as the best one.
So I'm actually going to hold on now. Hold the fort. I have to check here because make sure nobody can see what I'm looking at.
It's probably cheap taste, is it?
Yeah, no. I wouldn't say that. As a matter of fact, you know, I'm not going to give too much away at the minute, but no, the good choices all. I'm just checking here. We may have a set out. So yes, Graham. Right, that'll do. Thank you, Graham. News just in. Graham Horner is having technical difficulties, so he's just going to get his answers through. So just so as we know that now. So there you go. Look, I'm not going to dwell on this tonight. We're going to move as quickly as possible because we do have quite a lot of people in. Thank you very much, Neil. You will be back. I will bring you back in. And but for now, thank you for your choices.
Thank you.
And I will see you soon.
See you later.
Cheers, mate. Now, what happened was, what these guys don't realize is that, or maybe they do, I don't know. I had them in an order before we started. And what happened was it dropped them out of order. So now they're going to come in a totally different order than they were maybe expecting to come in. And it turns out that Ryan is the next one in. There you go. How are you, Ryan? Can't hear you, mate. I don't know. Don't think it's muted at my end, but...
Hello.
There we go.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Perfect.
Yeah,
sorry, this silly hit.
Sporting the dram face shirt and all, you're such a whore.
Represent.
Ryan, good to see you. I mean, well, this isn't your first live stream. You did last month, didn't you?
Yeah, did the glassware and all things gifts and gadgets last time, so it was good.
Of course you did. So anybody, if this is your first live stream since Ryan, then ladies and gentlemen, welcome Ryan McCleave. Also known as other names, but we'll not go into that.
Yeah, we'll not touch on that.
Ryan, at which point did you open your samples?
About 30 minutes ago, I'd say. So I really did keep them to the end. So,
well, the thing I suppose to remember is that generally this is the way a lot of us go with these things anyway, but don't mess about with them, because I think Neil said it a while ago, if you hang about in a live or a blind challenge for a while, you do tend to go in and out and change your mind, and you're up and down. And I think sometimes it's nearly better just to go at it and not necessarily overthink it.
That's it. It's more fun as well.
It is. So do you have your choices?
I do indeed. Do you want them from
Go
least
ahead.
favorite?
Give us your number 5.
That is black. I'm not enjoying that at all.
Popular choice. 4
is green.
And 3
is yellow.
You see, the thing about it is, here we go already. There's you and Neil going totally different directions. 2
pink,
which then leaves red.
Red on top. Yep. Good job.
As I say, I'm not going to give too much away just yet, because part of the other thing is these bottles were bought for this challenge. Something else going on, and I literally bought these bottles for this challenge. I haven't spent a lot of time with them.
Okay.
Well, probably because A, I haven't had a lot of time to do so, and B, I have them poured in front of me. So I'm going to be sort of maybe dipping in and out of them the whole way through as well. Yep. And whenever we'll start to see, because we all know that there's so many of you in there that these will start to match up and tie up over time. We'll agree on. Well, I mean, there already you have agreed that the black you didn't find appealing.
No,
so
definitely not.
Ryan, thank you, my friend. I'll
thank you. Cheers.
Right. I've seen a few people coming in. Daniel Williams, good to see you, Daniel. It genuinely is. So, who have we got next? Our old friend, I think we should all know him by now. Tony, who has muted himself. So, we will see. There he is. How are you, my friend?
Yeah, all good. Thanks.
What about you? Good, apart from not very good.
A wee bit cold, but nothing 5 blind grams won't sort.
Get the Christmas cold out of the way. Get the Christmas cold out of the way now, and then, come Christmas, you'll be fine.
Most definitely.
So when did you open your drams, out of curiosity?
Must have been about 5:30 today.
So most of us most of use sort of starting late, which is no bad thing. No bad thing. So let's start with 5 again then. Let's just keep everybody doing the same thing, shall we? Just
black.
Oh, there we go again. Popular choice. 4.
Yellow.
You and Ryan agreeing on that. 3
is green.
And 2
pink.
Agreeing with Neil there. And number 1
red.
Would be red then again.
Those two have changed a couple of times.
Right. But once again, you know, as we said, you change in, you change out.
If it was to spend a bit more time with it, they probably would change again further down.
Listen, thank you very much. You know, you're not going too far. You'll be back in a moment. So we'll see you then. And perfect. What I'm asking all of you to do, and the thing about it is, doing this in order, I suppose, means that, you know, you aren't disappearing, you aren't going too far away. It means you can, you know, keep sampling them, keep nosing them, etc., and your minds might change again in that time. So we'll see in a minute. Cheers, mate.
Cheers.
Oh, come off a bit short. I think I was going to say cheers, but I'll take it for granted. I've just had a little addition to the bottle fund from Highland Hamish. Hamish, how are you, my friend? Good to see you. Anybody who would have seen Hamish at the Glasgow Whisky Festival sporting the finest of kilts, the first blended kilt, there was all sorts of things going on in there. Greetings from a wet and windy Inverness. Hope Santa has some good drams for you next week. Cheers, Hamish. Very much appreciate it. And I seen Sugar Kitty come in there as well. Good to see you. So let's see where we are now. Just reading some chat between the guys. It all pops off in the background as well. Now, this is going to be a new face to a lot of you in that he's been a Highland for quite a while. As a matter of fact, he's probably been a Highland all his life, if we're going to be honest about it. But he's one of he became one of the Highland Battalion earlier this year. Whenever I suppose if I have to explain the Highland Battalion again, let's do it. The Highland Battalion sort of came about as a WhatsApp group based around us going to the Glasgow Whisky Festival. So it was the easiest way to talk to each other, etc., etc. So when anybody was saying, I've got this guy, you know, coming to the Glasgow Whisky Festival with us, well, he would be introduced to the Highland Battalion and brought in. And that's what happened here. Doesn't always happen that way, but most of the time. Donner Pass Whiskies in. Tim, good to see you, my friend. And it is a gentleman who, a name you will know. Whiskey and Wine Trails, Tom Ottinger. Tom.
Cheers, Jim.
Welcome. It was an absolute pleasure to finally meet you in last month. That's only a month ago. That's scary. That's scary. Are you keeping well?
I am keeping well. Absolutely. It's balmy 75 degrees Fahrenheit here, so I'm loving it. I'm keeping my cap on because the light would blind you off the top of my head.
You see, there's a professional. Keeps the hat on, black background. Love it. Tom, you're a legend. You are a legend. So you were sort of hinting in the background at me about when you could open these, when you could try them. So when did you actually open your samples?
I tried them last night late because it's 1 o'clock right now in the afternoon. So I gave them a shot last night so I could think about them a little bit. And they have sort of flip-flopped around a little bit. I got to tell you, none of them I would kick off the bar. A lot of it would just depend on how deep in the evening it would be before I started enjoying them.
Yeah, no, I can see where you're coming from there. You know, because it's funny, as I say, I haven't spent a lot of time with these drams, but obviously there's a pattern here with the worst already. And it's going to be interesting to see where this goes forward.
Oh, I'm going to screw you over. Don't worry.
I think it'll be also interesting to see people's, reactions whenever we discover what they actually are. So go ahead, give us your number 5.
Okay. Well, I got to start by saying if any one of these is a Loch Lomond, because Michael Henry's on board, that's my number 1. So,
everybody knows a kiss ass. Well done, Tom.
So my number 5 currently is pink.
Okay.
My number
there you
4
are. Breaking the mold
is yellow.
This is number 4, yes.
My number 3 is red. My number 2 is green.
So your number 1 is black?
My number 1 was black, what everybody hated.
I mean, the question, well, it'll be interesting to see what Brother Drew thinks, given that have these whiskies travelled. Sorry, I'm just desperately checking to see what all of these are, because I've them written down the other side of this piece of paper. And I'm just so desperately scared to show anybody now what I've written down, and it could easily happen. But no, we will. That's there you go. There you go. So there's 3 of you actually have put yellow in 4th place. So that's also interesting. There you go. Tom, thank you very much.
Cheers.
We will see you in a moment. That was Tom. Such a lovely guy. Molasses Mike is in. Mike, how are you? Yeah, this is taking a funny path already. Let me see. Right, we've got 4 down. I'm going to do one more a minute before I pause for a second, and I'm going to go back through these drams myself, because as I say, I haven't really spent an awful lot of time. Now, he may be next on my stage, but I'm going to leave him for a while. Well, Ben has actually dropped his list in, so there's what we'll do. We'll do Ben's 5 yellow. Just bear with me, people. Talk amongst yourselves there. Pink. There's probably technology, I'm sure, that could do this for me, but as I said, a little unprepared I was. Green. So there you go. Ben is, well, Ben and Tom, actually very similar. See, I know what these are. So this is always the fun part. Frank says talking for yourself has the do with age. Jim, talking for yourself. Right. So we've done it. We've taken an order there. There's 5 out of the 10 people, probably 11 actually we have. And I was going to say that I might do you know, the yellow one is different. I was not by any means. I remember whenever I poured it for the first time, and I can understand how everybody's choices are always going to be different, and they're changing up for me big time here. And it's the usual story. We all know this, that when you move backwards and forwards through drams, that they do change. Of course they do. The other thing I will say to my guests tonight, something that I didn't say to them earlier on, just a suggestion that is there, maybe there isn't, but is there a link between any of these? I'll tell you who I'll bring in next. My big friend from Randallstown. He's just sitting back there, so he probably choked because he knows who I'm talking about. Nigel.
Jim, how's the form? Everybody?
Very good, my friend. Very good. I haven't seen you in ages. We've been busy.
Away.
I was speaking to your missus the other day, but I haven't seen you in ages.
Really? Where did you see her at?
Oh, she was just down about Belfast. You know, she's like
Yeah.
lazy.
I probably caving out from work.
Are you keeping well?
Aye, not so bad. Yourself?
Aye, dead on, dead on. You know, it's really nice to this going finally, because it's the same idea as with you, that you've had these samples for what seems like ever.
That must be what, 3 months now.
Easy,
Yeah.
easy. So when did you open yours? Out of curiosity.
About 7:30, about 5 months before I actually come into the background.
So
You have mine not to open it until.
I know, as I say, it's I just
I trust it.
Yeah, exactly. Nigel,
I could open it up.
for anybody who doesn't know, Nigel was told under certain terms not to be opening the samples before tonight, because they would have been gone long ago. So, do you have a selection? Do you have a?
Yes. From worst to best, yeah.
Go ahead, give me 5.
Yeah. Black.
Mm-hmm.
Yellow.
Hold on. I can't write that fast. I suppose I could just put initials, but you know,
Why would
right,
you?
3.
Red.
For 3.
Yeah. And then pink. And then green for the favorite.
There's a first. That's the first time. So let me see. So far, I'm sure somebody's been keeping order here, but so far, black is still looking like the least favorite among most. That could change. I mean, at some point, I could probably do with collating these answers, but there's 4 of you have all put black as your least favorite. Red's a weird one. Red seems to be floating around the middle as well in some cases. But
I haven't had where that was going to go, to be fair, like between pink and red and maybe even green at one point, but
see, red
end up with the decision.
Well,
it'll all go back on them. Sometimes you go from black to red.
Yeah.
And you go back from green to red. It's like,
Well, as they say, it'll all come out in the wash. So
yeah.
we'll see soon enough. Well, here, if you're happy enough, we'll move on, and I bring in my next guest, and then I'll see you shortly.
Yeah, no problem.
Cheers, Nick. I said, not trying to fly through this, but just trying to get through it so as I can get them back in for another reason. So I've got my big mate from the south of England up in here next. It just happened to the way he was on there, so he's looking a bit surprised. So I'll bring in Lee J. Hold on, there we go. Have you muted yourself, buddy?
Sorry.
That's quite all right. I could have just quite happily left it like that and said no more, but how are you, fella?
I'm very well, thank you, mate. And yourself?
I'm the best.
Good.
And I've gone blurry. As soon as I said it, I went blurry. I don't know what that's about. But no, keeping very well, mate. Busy, but keeping well. And you'll be getting ready for Christmas, I imagine.
Yeah, trees up, stockings are up already, decorations, presents, a lot. Yeah.
Good stuff. We might hopefully see each other the first quarter of next year. Hopefully. Plans are afoot. When did you open your samples, buddy?
Literally as I was joining the green room. So they've been out in the shed. So they've only just started to warm up and opening some notes. So the initial least of the favourite to least, I think it's changed, but I've already put the spots down. So
well, if they're down, go ahead then. Number 5.
Yellow for me. Then we go black. Red. Green, and then pink. There's something about it that keeps drawing me back.
Well, as you said, I mean, especially if they've been outside. Although you and Neil are actually fairly close, you know, your choices are fairly similar. So
a good taste. Yeah, that's what it is.
well, I mean, you know, it's only because he said he would put you up in his house, wasn't it?
That's true.
I'll agree, but I'll pretend I'm not agreeing. But no, it's. I mean, the choices are genuinely all over the place for most people, which surprises me. It surprises, but doesn't either. Right. Anyway, I could just blather on, but I'll not. I'll let you slide off and spend some more time with them,
right,
and
mate.
see if that changes again.
Nice one.
Cheers, buddy. So there you go. As I said, they're all over the place. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back over to the US of A, I think it's called, and invite in our good friend Drew Lane. Drew, good to see you, buddy.
Good to see you. And I have to tell you, it was a good tactical decision not to have me right after Tom, because I probably wasn't off the floor in time after he rated black first. You would have had some dead space there while I was coming back to consciousness. Because that one, I'm sorry, that's just bewildering. But he's a peak lover, so I kind of understand.
See, this is it. And you know him better than any of us.
Yeah,
that's
why I can give him a little bit of grief over that.
Yeah, I mean, you and he would go for a drink fairly regularly. Would that be safe to say, wouldn't it?
Yeah, not as often as we'd like, but there's a place that's kind of equidistant, a whiskey bar in town that we go and share some drams, compare some notes, trade some samples, and yeah, we don't do it near as much as we'd like, but we do try to do that at least once a month or so.
Do you know, it's the sad truth. I mean, you know, as much as us guys all live, the rest of us guys all live in Northern Ireland, for the most part. We see so little of each other. It's just, you know, but that's just life, isn't it? It gets in the way.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, when did you open yours, by the way?
So I did open them and nose them last night, and I thought I was cheating by sneaking a little bit of a sip out of a couple of them that I kind of was curious about. But then it sounds like I should have probably gone ahead and tasted a few, because I found myself kind of scrambling here, trying them all before I came on live here. But
well, as I said before, buddy, there's no, you know as well as I do, there's no pressure, so it's a bit of fun, and
yeah, it is.
You know, it's as we always say about blind tastings. It's maybe I think the best joy from blind tastings is introducing you to something that maybe you wouldn't have necessarily bought. I always think that's the joy that comes from them, that it can open your eyes or your palate to things that you've maybe turned down in the past and wouldn't have tried. So
right, or not even have access to. From in our standpoint, Tom and I kind of scramble to get whiskeys that we hear about that maybe haven't made it over here yet, or if they have, it's kind of in short supply. So that is a real opportunity. And I also have to say that I don't know how common it is, but when Ryan was going through his list, it's exactly the same as mine. So that's a spoiler alert, but I didn't expect anybody to have exactly the same as mine.
Do you know? No, I think it happens more often than not. Keep talking, because now that I know that, I'll just jot them down here and then.
Yeah. No.
I
enjoyed. I would say I enjoyed 4 out of the 5. And the black is probably the one that I wouldn't, if I would have tasted it in a bar. I mean, I've had a lot worse, but it's not one I would consider buying. The other 4, I think, were all whiskeys I would consider buying potentially. Some of them are more peated than others, I thought. But the red one really impressed me the most. Though I thought there were a couple in there that I didn't rank first that seemed to be pretty old. Like they were definitely had some years in them and had that kind of mellow taste that I get off of some of the older whiskeys.
No, I totally agree with you there. I mean, and weirdly, as I said, I'm sort of starting to go back into these here, not sort of deep diving into them by any means, but that black, there's an incredibly sulfury note of it that I never got before. Literally like burnt out fireworks. but yet again, 5 drams in front of you, some of them sweeter than others, some of them, and that's the thing. I know people talk about what you eat that day, what your mood is, etc., etc.
Oh yeah.
But especially if we're not drinking, you guys aren't drinking these in any particular order. So one can be throwing the other one out. So just sipping one will make the next one taste different. Of course it will. That's just what blind taste. That's what tasting does.
Yep.
Anyway, Drew, thank you. I will drop you into the background, my friend, and I'll speak to you in a moment. Cheers. So there's one more person sitting patiently in the green room. But before I bring him in, I'll just keep him sitting patiently there for a minute. Yeah, I'm going to check and see through the chat in the background for me here, because these guys were chatting away in the background. But I was looking to see if Graham had given me his notes yet. I'm not seeing them yet. So I'll check. This is all. Just bear with me. Once again, speak amongst yourselves. Graham, there we go. So Graham has given me his, and for your benefit, he went, let me see. So he's gone, that's all right. Sorry. So he's put black 5th as well. I take it. Right. So if he's gone, yes, right. Just once again, people, just don't mind me. 4th, he's gone red. 3rd, yellow. And if I'm wrong, Graham, if I'm reading these in the wrong order, which I shouldn't be, 2nd green and 1st pink. Let me just check. Anybody else that he tied up with? Yeah, once again, fairly close to Neil and Lee J. So all over the place. Right, one more person to go. Let's bring him in. Another new Highland as such. He's looking a bit pensive. Some of you might know him from Instagram, 1 Minute Whiskey. Willie.
Yeah, how's it going?
Very well. You keeping all right?
Keeping good, yeah.
Good. Willie, just let me see. Sorry, Willie, just talking to myself here. Willie introduced, so saying a moment ago about, originally the Highland Battalion WhatsApp group was about really about the Glasgow Whisky Festival, but it wasn't always going to remain like that. And I was speaking to Willie the other week in the shop, and we've known each other for quite a while now, and you've known most of the rest of the boys, and it just felt right, felt natural. So I asked Willie if he wanted to be one of the Highlands, and he did. So there you go. And I think he just fit in.
Yeah, we'll see how everyone feels about it once they give me an order here. They might be one night in and kicked out, but sure, we'll see.
No, I mean, no, honestly, it's Willie, you know, do you do much blind tasting?
No, and to be fair, everything that's you put in front of us tonight is completely out of my wheelhouse as well, which is, yeah, it's been interesting, really enjoyable actually so far.
Good. Well, I mean, the thing about it is, through time, we'll get to know you. You'll get to know everybody else, and it's one of those things that it's just about a crack. There's never any pressure about it, so it's Sorry, I just noticed Luna Aaron saying, "Could you show the ranking? Just hold it into the camera, Luna. It currently looks like that. It's a bit of a mess. It's not. There's no, I mean, even for me to hold that up there, there've been very very little point. So, Wally, give us your number 5, mate.
Green.
Number 4.
Pink.
Number 3.
Yellow.
Number 2.
Black.
And that would make your number 1 red.
That's it.
Right. Thank you. It's good to have you in, Willie. It really is.
Thank you very much for the invite.
As I say, it's all just about crack. There's no, you've been in a few days now, or maybe a bit more, and you know that it's just about the Highlands, just about crack in the background, and that's what this is, And I'm sort of rushing through this tonight. It'll all start to grind down and slow down a wee bit, probably soon. But what I'll do is, same as everybody else, I'll just pop you into the background for a minute. We'll speak to you in a minute. Cheers, Willie.
Cheers. Thanks.
There we go. That's all the Highlands in tonight, certainly on screen, but we'll get chatting to them again in a minute. I just want to do a quick tot up, and this could be interesting as a quick tot up. So I'm going to just see how many reds were first, etc., etc. As I said again, talk amongst yourselves. I'm going to try and do this while I'm talking to you. So 4 people put red first. This'll never work out. Never. You know that it's, as I said, there's definitely well, nobody put it second. I don't know why I started in red. It was just the thing. I'm sure there's people sitting here looking at me going, "What the hell are you doing?" Now I'm sitting looking at the chat, wondering what the hell I'm doing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 of them put it third. I'm sitting trying to compute this in my head. I'm wondering what I'm even going to achieve by it. I'm just genuinely trying to think it'll be simple to go, right, black, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 of you thought that black was the worst. So that's 6 out of 10. So that would suggest that the majority, would I be right in saying that the majority thought the black was the worst? There. I'm going to lock that one in. Whew, we're getting somewhere. Graham's saying we bit of elevator music. That's what we need. You need music here. We drop the music. That doesn't mean that black was the worst. That was just 6 out of 10 of you thought it was the worst. So I'm still trying to figure out, and I'm sure somebody can do it, which was the favorite. But it was all over the place. And it seemed to be mostly between pink and red as the favorite. It definitely was. I would suggest that it was between pink and red, because in most cases it was either those who were voting red first, they seem to be pulling in pink as the second. Drew and Ryan. Actually, no, I'm wrong, because you're all over the place as well there. So you all have your favourites, and you all have the ones that you like least. Would it be safe to say that? It'd be safest to just say that, wouldn't it? What would I do? Ben, send me a photo of your notes and I'll add them up. I'm just looking to make sure that there's nothing on there that could suggest what I actually have. So if I actually do a wee scan, this is all very technical, all incredibly technical. I don't think there's anything on there that can tell these people. Good on you, Ben. But if you can figure this out, you're a better man than I am, because I'm looking at it. I have the paperwork right in front of me, and I can't figure it out. See, I was nearly going to send that. I don't want to do that. There we go. Ben. Ben's going to sort that out. He'll be back to us. So what we'll do, we'll just bring everybody in and we'll have a bit of a chat. And then while Ben's figuring that out in the background, very, very quickly he'll do it. I'm sure we can then, once that's done, we will, I'll do the reveal. and then, and that's when it gets really difficult. These guys are going to figure out what I've actually given them. Here we go. Celebrity Squares. Here we go. Eyes down for a full house. There we go. All in. But I mean, there's the thing. So, Willie, you were saying you don't do a lot of blind tasting. Most of the rest of us boys, when they've stopped being childish,
They don't get out much, Jim.
Yeah, I mean, some of us would do a bit of blind tasting, but it's not something that we do often, really. But it's I genuinely think it's something we do enjoy when we do it.
Absolutely.
But at the same
time, what's your thoughts, and what would your order be if you were taking part, Jim?
Oh, I haven't thought about that at all. You see, the thing about it is, I know what they are, so that'll maybe make my decision for me.
But do you?
Do you know, right, on the spot then, just on the nose, I actually would nearly agree that black would be my least favourite.
Another one on the list, Tom.
Yep.
It's I know what it is. But it's
all I can get off that black one is like the 2p bangers used to make.
Exactly. That's what it's like. It's the caps and a cap gun.
That's all I get in that there, and I can't get past it. Even on the palate.
That's what it is. Tom's just a cordite. That's what it is.
It is cordite. That's
it.
But I don't. At the same time, I don't dislike it.
It's interesting.
It is.
That's one word for it.
I do. I could go from a worst to my best. My favorite. So and then I would need to sort of figure out in between. So I would definitely, personally speaking, and this, not just knowing what it is. You've all locked in your answers. Not knowing what it is or where it came from or whatever. I'm not going to tell you. I'm not actually going to tell you because this might sway.
What did you just try there, Neil?
What?
What did you just try there?
They're actually the red. The ones that you use like the red is actually, I could change that up a wee bit.
I'm not going to tell you what.
You're liking that.
I'm not actually going to tell you what I like for the simple fact that it may actually sway the reveal. So we can't have that. But I'm glad. The thing about it is, I'm glad you said that you found it interesting and that you found some of them. I wonder if I had some questions, would it pad out a bit of time here? I'm going to have a go at it and say there's only one of these has an age statement.
What?
Yep. Only one of them.
Wow.
There's a peated one.
It'll be black.
Would you have any thoughts on? Let me see. I'm just sitting looking on links. If there's a link with them, or whether they're linked in any way, or
I found them all to be quite drying.
Drying.
Like drying in the finish, as if they were all sort of finished in some sort of cask.
Are they all? They're all peated, aren't they? They all peated.
Are they?
No, I don't think so.
I hope not.
Oh.
Yeah.
Are they all from one distillery?
Are they all what, Lee?
From one distillery?
No.
Phew.
Yeah.
Are they all from one region?
No.
No.
So I'll quickly go through them, and I'll actually maybe do a wee bit of Googling while I'm doing it, because there may be a couple of them that as I say, very, very unprepared for this. I did sort of prepare for a wee bit of it, and then the rest of it all just went to hell, because as I say, it seemed like a good idea at the time. And then there's one of them here. I don't actually know where it is. Well, there you go. I do now. So they're from regions all about the place. One of them, you see, this is great. You know, they're a bit. I think I might just have to do the reveal, because it doesn't matter.
Is one of them quite a reasonably new distillery?
Maybe. Which one, Neil?
I was thinking, is the black maybe like a Torveg or something like that? Something.
I thought black was maybe a grain or something.
Yeah, I was
plastic
thinking
that.
Which one's that?
Black.
You know, Jim, I got to say that I've fallen victim to active cask distilleries, you know, where you're really getting a lot of bold, strong flavors off of cask. And it doesn't surprise me that I put red number one. And, you know, it's got a really bold, a lot of bold, strong flavors for me. And I like that. You know, some of them I thought had more muted flavors. Maybe one of those is the older one, but I am shocked that 4 of these 5 are NAS.
No,
I never guessed that. Never.
I can definitely get where you're coming from there, Drew. And when you
NAS
see,
doesn't always mean young.
True.
So Ben, very gracefully, and thank you, Ben. You definitely, you're a superstar. How you made it has given us the score. So red 37. So you know, out of all the possible, so 37 for red, 36 for pink, green 32, yellow 22, and black 22. So very similar there. Thank you, Ben. He has also suggested that he thinks black is the single grain peated from Loch Lomond, and green is the Leipzig 10.
Oh, right. I've got Colilla as green.
Oh, you see, now we're all opening up. Now you are starting to.
I've got it as an Isla as well.
Green is Kalila. I've got yellow as a Speyside. Red
It's too
is
dark.
Campbelltown. I'm kind of leaning towards Glen Scotia for red. And then pink, I've got like a Sherried Highland.
I think I'm going to reveal these because things are starting to be said that
Legacy 10 is too dark. The green's too dark for the Legacy 10.
look at him.
And I owe Tom an apology because black just tasted a lot better after
I know.
all the.
It's open right up, isn't it? Yeah.
Come on, Tom.
Oh man! But I mean, this is really 2 weeks worth of whiskey for me in one shot. So take that with a grain of salt.
It also doesn't make Tom right just because he thought black was the nicest.
It was a lot better. I don't know what that is, but all right.
That was a version of the middle finger there, Tom. Thank you for that. Right, I'm going to do a reveal. Now, I'm not going to tell you which is which, but as I say, there's been things said already that just I'm quite impressed. So, are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Let's see. Let's make. We could all be bounced off the screen here, but let's just try this anyway. That's what we're drinking. And I'll leave it up to you then as to what you think is what. But I would imagine that some of you will already have ideas in your mind.
I can't read the last two.
Sorry, the
Tweedledum.
any better?
Okay.
Any better?
Bird McDavid. Yeah.
Tweedle Graham's right.
It's a port finish, Port Barrique, Ben Rennes.
Oh, they're all port, aren't they?
Oh, Ben
Yeah.
Rennes, port
All
finish.
port.
Oh.
And what's the last one?
Oh,
I should have said that.
Okay.
Color's giving a few of them away, I think.
It is like
Yeah.
yeah. Good point. Which Glengasol is that?
that. I cannot zoom in on, but it's. I'm nearly scared too because it is
More of Portnoy.
peated portwood finish.
What's the very last one there, Jim?
Tweedale.
Marion David.
Single grain.
Might have
Grain
been
of truth.
Grain of Truth and Tom's number one, was that it?
So as I said, I would dare say that you boys already have a good idea what you think is what. Ben's asking what's the last one. As I say, it's the Tweedale grain of truth, the peated one. And this was the one that I had actually done a little research on. So it's 50% peated malt, 50% wheat. R&B distillers. Neil,
Mm-hmm.
you said something a minute ago. The thing is, I've pretty much given you the answers here. Like,
I don't care what it's.
Break them down. Interested to see what the Ben Rennes is.
right, which one do you think is the black?
Tweedale.
Yep.
Truth.
Grain.
So I think you're all in agreement there that is the black.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which one do you think is the Murray McDavid?
Pink.
Pink.
Red.
Green.
I think red.
I think
I think
red.
red.
I'm thinking red.
Right.
No, wait,
so that's
Yeah, red.
the Ben Rennes, right? Moving backwards, the Glen Scotia.
Pink.
Pink.
Red.
Red.
Pink.
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 Nobody's actually taking it.
We're all
It's just interesting to hear your colours being shouted at me. I love it.
Blue.
Pink.
White.
White.
There's always one.
There's always
The Talisker.
Green.
Yeah.
Do you know that? Well, that's there you go. Is there an agreement there?
Green. Yeah.
But you thought it was Lechic a minute ago. And the Glen
No, Ben did.
Pink.
Yellow.
Yellow for me.
For what?
Well, I'll tell you first of all what the link is. In that, now this is a bit. It's big. It's incredibly. In that, there's a few of you guys in there will know that I did my own little peat and port thing a few years ago with a 2-liter cask of
Yes.
and I had seasoned it with port, and then I put
Finlagan.
that's the one, Finlagan cask strength into it, and basically it was a 2-liter cask, so it would only been in there. But I loved it, and I remember at the time thinking, there's nobody else really doing peat and port. So somebody said these are all port. They're not, and they're not all peat. Because at the end of the day, well, I'll show you the reveal first, and then we'll talk about that. So I can actually see Graham's down here, so we'll see. We'll show you what they are. That's what they are. You weren't far off. Although the Murray McDavid yous were, because I think it was
I 100%.
Well, Nate, you said about the reason why I said about new distillery. As far as I can tell, R&B Distillers is out of Rassay.
3.
So Tweedale is actually out of Rassay.
Right.
So when you said new distillery, it is.
Yeah.
But it's obviously somebody operating column stills. You know, if they're making a single grain, but I need to do a wee bit more research. I'm sure there's somebody out there will back it up. But
It's getting
whenever
nicer when we shut that black gets nicer and nicer. Maybe it's just.
I just can't get past that. I agree with Nigel.
Bangers.
Yeah, that's all it is.
SPP bangers.
It's a misspent youth, Nigel, that you and I obviously had. Luna's asking, is the Glenglassaugh also a port? Well, it's peated port. So this is whenever I started to do that bit of research to see then.
I'm going to fire that.
So Michael Henry, the Tweedale is actually Loch Lomond. 50% malt base, 50 ppm, 50% wheat base grain. There you go.
Sorry, Michael.
Apologies, Michael.
Yeah.
Should have known that.
I'm not going to keep that one quiet.
Yeah.
Michael, we love it.
It's our new favorite.
We put that first, didn't we?
Yep.
Anyway, moving on to Glenglassaugh quickly.
Is
But it's
Glenglassaugh
weird
typically
because-
peated, like as their staple flavor?
Yeah, I don't
Well,
think
it's funny because Ben said that earlier on that he was taking that it was what he called it as the Loch Lomond, and it reminded me. I must admit, it was the other one that it was down the path of was that peated grain that Loch Lomond do, the black bottle, the green label. And Frank's saying, so Tom was correct that Loch Lomond was his favorite. There you go, Tom. I'm starting to think you're on the inside, Tom.
I want to say Ben has had that Glen Scotia and thought highly of it too.
He did.
Yeah.
That's the
I
only
know.
one that's age stated, right?
Ben's
Yep.
bought 2 bottles of it, apparently, he said.
Exactly. I wanted to point that out as well after him there.
Yeah.
Ass kissing by saying that he got the Loch Lomond right and then putting the Glen Scotia down.
Yeah.
So there you go. Loch Lomond supplied R&B with the Rassay while we wait. Oh yes, and did the further. So Rassay was the first or the only one I can think of in recent years, in Scottish terms, doing what most of the Irish distillers do, in sourcing and putting out a whiskey that came from somebody else while they were, and I knew that Rassay had done it with the While You Wait or While We Wait, but I didn't realize that they had done further things for him. So I wasn't aware that the Tweed Ale was on them. So there you go. Whiskey with Molly. Ben did get 100% on the reveal. Good on you, Ben. Good on you. So what did you think of that, chaps?
Good fun.
Good fun,
Really
interesting.
Always a lot of surprises on a blind taste.
Yeah.
All of you are
Alistair.
off my Christmas card list. That's all I can say.
As Ben says, Alistair Day, that was the guy behind R&B, one of the guys behind R&B. Did I say R&B? Yeah, there's R&B. There you go. But there's even whenever it's the usual story, as we said. If you go back, the pink, I actually am very fond of that Glenglassaugh. It's to be peated. It's not.
It's nice.
Yeah.
There's a really, really fruity note off it.
You get
Well,
strawberry.
Willie, would you buy any of them, Willie? Seeing that's your first taste of that sort of wheelhouse.
Yeah, definitely the red one. Yeah, I would buy. A lot of what I drink is Irish, or I drink a lot of bourbon, a lot of rye. But the finish on the red one is there's similar notes to a lot of the Irish whiskies that I'm more familiar with, maybe more so than some of the other ones. So I think that's probably why I naturally gravitated towards it for the number one slot. But I scored the black quite highly, but I think it's because it's when a taste or a smell brings you back to a location or a time or a good trip or whatever, and it kind of reminds me of Good Crack and Isla, that really iodine, really heavy peated sort of, but with some, I was getting like pineapple-y bit notes through it as well in the background. So I think that's why I went with the black. It was more of a association thing. But yeah, definitely some really nice whiskies in there and things I would never have tried before at all. So
Nigel,
Jim, was the ABV that highest on the red? Was the Glen Scotia the highest ABV?
I would say yes. 54.7.
Carried a lot of flavor, yeah.
The Tweed Ale is 50%. The Murray McDavid independent bottling's about 44.5.
Really?
It's a funny one. I was looking for an independent bottling. So it's a tawny port barrique.
Ah.
And it's Benrinnes for me have been a bit up and down. I've had a few really, really good Benrinnes and a few that I wouldn't really rate. The one that a lot of us haven't mentioned is the Talisker Port Ree. And it's one that
was my favourite.
Well, I've had it for quite a while.
I'm annoyed because I like it. I think that's what annoyed me.
That's my favourite out of the five.
Deliberately don't buy
I
them.
love the Talisker, and that Port Ree's right up my alley.
Out of them all, the only one I finished is black, so I must like it.
I think the black was most interesting out of the five.
These are all just backpedaling because Michael's in here.
I keep going back to the black because it's so interesting. I know I can't get past that banger smoke, but like it's nothing like I've ever smelt or had before. I've never had a whiskey that had that much of that. One singular flavour that I couldn't, or singular smell that I couldn't get past before, and
it's a smelly finger whiskey. You see, this is what I've been trying to explain to you.
I mean, the palate, you can sort of get past the banger flavour on the palate. That sort of develops a bit better, but the nose it's always there. And as much as I don't like it, I do like it. I do like it because I used to like the smell of bangers, but I don't like that smell of bangers in whiskey. Does that make any sense?
No.
Not one bit.
No.
So I'm glad to explain to people what you mean by bangers for a start. So basically, it's guys. I mean, Tom, Drew, you're old. You'll remember cap guns. Just the little guns you would have used, the cowboys and Indians, that sort of thing. And it was the smell, basically. So basically, it was the same idea, but it was just that they were rolled up tighter with a pen through, and they were. That's that sort of smell. But as you nailed it. It's cordite. It's that. Yeah. That's
Bengal matches.
These things here you put onto the wee guns.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm still not convinced, but out of them all, I would still. I have to agree. I think my favorite would have been the red. If I was going to name it, I wasn't going to say anything at the time, but I did fall in love with that Glen Scotia whenever I bought it.
Lovely.
Lee J, the Glen Glasser.
Yeah, I'm putting that on the list. Yeah, I'm enjoying that. That's the old style, isn't it? They've recently rebranded. Is that the same one?
Yeah, they have a new bottle.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's on the list. Even though I've been told I'm not allowed to buy any more whiskey this year.
It's just
We're
so
always told
damn
that.
fruity.
It's only a couple of weeks to next year.
Payday Friday.
Do you know, that's the thing. I do like the Glen Scotia, but that Glen Glasgow is just. I do like that as well.
Nice.
What colour was the Glengasser?
Pink.
Sorry, mate.
What colour was the Glengasser?
Pink.
Pink, yeah.
Pink. And then the red one was.
That's the Glen Scotia.
Glen Scotia.
I said in the chat earlier on that was Glen Scotia. Always get a weird even. It's not there now. I used to get a lot of lactic notes, baby sick. On Glen Scotia, but that's nice.
I think there's so much there's actually an awful lot of that white port influence in that Glen Scotia.
There is.
There's a great balance in it. Like,
I actually bought a bottle of that, and
Still available.
whenever I opened it, it wasn't too big a fan, so I pushed it to the back of the cupboard.
Go straight to the website, Ryan.
Yes, one of them's got to open up a bit. Let it warm.
Yeah.
Ben's asking the ABV in the Glen Glass was 46%. So it's 40. It's basically integrity. 46%, non-chill filtered, no color added.
What about Taliskers at 45.7?
0.8, as always.
0.8.
The longitude, latitude or longitude.
One of those.
I can't remember which one.
It'll be on there somewhere. And if I could be bothered to look.
You wonder why Murray McDavid done it at that ABV instead of a wee bit higher. They've done all that crap. Cask going.
Aye, and to be honest, it's one that, as I said, I was just looking for something that was a bit different, independent balling, port cask. I'm not that impressed, but as I said, that's me and Benrennis. It's been a bit all over the place. It can be a bit all over the place. And they're another one of those ones that you don't really see a lot of it out there unless you're looking into the independent bottlings. You know, there's not a lot of official Benrennis's.
Yeah.
So that's, and Luna's saying it, peated port Glen Glasgow, and that was the whole idea from the get-go with this, that there's 3 of these are peated port cask. And it's not something that gets done an awful lot, but this was, for me, more than anything else, I wanted to try this to see what it was like, official bottlings or independent bottlings or whatever, after having done that for myself, for, you know, sort of experimenting with it. And they're two styles of whiskey that actually, you know, it's proved that it can work very well, maturing peated malt in a port cask.
Yeah, and Jim, I have to tell you, I tried to buy some peated whiskey too early. I wasn't ready for it. My palate wasn't ready, and it took me a while. And the first time I really had an eye-opening experience was a ported peat whiskey, and that, I think at that point I realized that this is something I can really like. And so the sherry ported or sherry matured peated seems to go really well for me. And but that first experience was an independent bottler. It was a Brauerin, and it was a Kalila that they did in a port cask, and it was an eye opener for me. So it's not a surprise that 3 of these were port finished peated, and I kind of liked all those really.
No, I'm glad, and I remember that actually happening. I remember you telling me that about the Nibber and stuff. But I didn't realize they were port casks, so I didn't. But that Kalila that they did was very highly thought of as well. Both the wee brother and the big brother.
Yeah.
And even Luna's saying here, peat and red wine, and is one of her winter faves. So it's probably not a bad way to introduce people to peated whiskey. If the reason why I went with that Tweedale in this was I just wanted something that was a bit different, peated wise, because we've all had the peated malts. There's an awful lot of sherry cask peated malts out there, so it had just been, and I wanted something peated malt or peated something that wouldn't have a heavy cask influence on it. And that's what the Tweedale is, as much as, and I do feel like as if I'm reversing an awful lot here, Michael. It is a different thing.
You've saved yourself with Glen Scotia anyway.
Oh, well, that's true. I forgot about that. As I said, I wouldn't say I dislike it, but it is just that I can't get over it. And as soon as you named it, Nigel, that smell, that's exactly what it is. But
It's
that aside,
the grass.
But that aside, it's different, and that's the thing we proved here tonight. That there was the first 3 of you that I asked, and you all put black last. And then Tom put it. I was actually quite surprised whenever Tom put it first. Tom, I didn't realize how much you were into your peated whiskey.
Yeah, I really do like a strong peat, both island peat, mainland peat, and Isla peat. If it's really strong, sherry and peat is really a nice blend for me if it's done well. But I like black just because it was unusual. I go for these kind of odd duck things, and it just showed me looks that the other ones didn't. I thought they were good. Like I said, I wouldn't throw any of them off the bar. Some were a little bit more lactic than others, which I didn't mind. But the black was just different in a strange way. And, I'm kind of an odd duck, so it worked.
Well, I'm glad that it's something that, I'm glad that there was something in this, and I would nearly say that this is the good thing about blind tasting, that if everybody can come away with something, it's a result. If you can come away thinking, well, there's something there that I really quite enjoyed, then I maybe would look into further. That's a result. That's what blind tasting's for, in my opinion. As I said, it's a great way to introduce you to different whiskies that you may not have tried, as we said earlier on, and you get a different perspective on them. And a good example, a few of us were at Roy Aquavit Duff's, and I'm just looking to see at the his blind tasting after the Glasgow Whisky Festival, and the Indri Trini, the 3-wood, was basically the one that seemed to come out the favourite. And I bought a bottle of it. I was planning on buying a bottle of it anyway, but I bought a bottle of it then because it did. As it settled down, I fell in love with it. I thought it was a fantastic whiskey. And I'm just looking at it and just over the shoulder of my bottle, and it's just not acting in any way, shape, or form like that bottle that I had at Roy's tasting. And it's just, I just don't get that. Whereas, and it's, well, I do get it because it boils down to the day. It boils down to what, as we said earlier, what you've ate, how you feel, etc., etc. So it doesn't matter how good you thought it was in the day. It doesn't necessarily mean you're going to, when you buy a bottle, you're going to love it the way you did then.
See, I'm taken out of this tasting that I actually avoided port finishes because I had one before and got like a rubber taste off it. So it put me totally off it. And yet I've had all those tonight and that same tasting note has not came anywhere near me. So it surprised me. So at least it shows me I'm missing out on something that I'm maybe far on now.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's good.
Port goes really well in Irish whiskies as well. Really recommend any mature Irish whiskey with a port finish is really, really good.
I like the Dingle Batch 6. That was port finish, wasn't it? That was quite nice.
It was,
yeah.
Although the thing about the Dingle Batch 6, and this is me reversing a bit because it was me, I think, that suggested to you, Lee, at the time, it was a good whiskey, and it is a good whiskey. But when you go, I found now when I go back to it, I really, really identify the youth on it, how young it is and how young tasting it is, and almost to the point where it's that youth on it makes it taste too young, in that all the estery notes are still in place and it doesn't necessarily play terribly well with that port cask maturation. The other one that I raved about for a long time was the Rowan Co. 13-year-old port cask, and spent all 13 years. Ex-Bushmills, bottled at 58%, and it was the fact that it was. I think it was the fact that it was a 55 pounds bottle, and I tried it blind.
That was the driest whiskey I've ever tasted in my life.
Well, I tried it blind. I think it was Tony had given me a sample of it, and I tried it blind, and I didn't rate it at all. And I was the same, Brian. I just thought, this is so dry. I don't like this. What's going on?
Killer.
And then whenever I revealed it, I felt a bit sick because it was like I was telling everybody this was fantastic, and I did. I genuinely loved it at the time. I don't know what changed. Was it obviously it must have been me that changed because the whiskey hadn't.
Maybe the facts and figures were right, and that overrode the taste buds. And then when he removed the facts and figures and had just the taste buds, it was the.
I know, Nigel. I know. Getting away from that, Luna's asking, is Rowan Co. still Great Northern or their own stuff? There's probably some Great Northern stuff in there, Luna. It's certainly not their own stuff, but a lot of it, the older stuff, was all ex-Bushmills. It was stuff that Diageo had held over. To my knowledge, it was all stuff that Diageo had held over from their sale of Bushmills.
Yeah, the fact you got a bottle of Bushmills cask strength for 50 odd quid, 13-year-old, that was a bargain.
Exactly. And as I say, I just remember thinking at the time it was fantastic, and then all of a sudden it wasn't fantastic. And this is what it could almost steer you away at times, and this is why sometimes I think it's even very difficult when you fall in love with a whiskey. And this is Springbank are a good example of that. Springbank are a good example to use in that batch variation can steer you away very quickly. Where you think you love this whiskey, then you buy another one, and it just doesn't do it for you.
Has there ever been a Springbank in a port maturation? Or even a Longrow or Hazelburn?
There's bound to have been. I know there's Kilkerrans.
They're 17 year old, I think. Portwood rather than Portcat, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Springbank 17, Portwood.
Yeah, the Kilkerran 8.
Novi.
Port was good.
Yeah, yes. That is nice.
There you go. Anybody anything else to add?
I think
Yeah.
that there are some whiskeys that do better on their own and don't show well in a tasting in comparison to others. At least that's been my experience. There's some that have sort of fallen short when I compared them against 3 or 4 other whiskeys. But later on, a week or 2 or 3 later, if I have it in isolation, it does really, really well. So I'm not sure if it's the combination of trying different flavors and different aromas, but I think there are some that are standouts when they're standalone, and others just sort of fall apart when you try them against other things.
Well, one of the reasons why I sort of took a pause from reviewing here this recent while was because I just got to the point, I think, where I can't remember the last time I had a whiskey that made me just go, wow, that's incredible. It all just started to taste like whiskey again, where there's still good and bad in that, but nothing stand out that just used to blow my mind. That and that's what scared me. That I didn't want to go down the path of just everything just being a nice whiskey. I would rather sort of relax and enjoy it, and maybe see if I can start and find those wow whiskies again, the ones that'll blow my mind. But do you not feel? I'm sure some of you do. Do you not feel that there's just so damn many being released?
Yeah.
And we've all got that because of this community. The community is almost becoming that thing where you sort of feel almost that I've got to try that, and it's not the FOMO thing. I'm not convinced that it's FOMO. I'm not convinced that we're chasing them down. It's just one of those things that I imagine it's good, so I better rush out, go out my way and get it. And then a lot of cases you're getting these whiskies and just thinking it's just all right. I don't know what the buzz was,
Yeah, maybe it's not the FOMO anymore. You are chasing that whiskey that, going back to your recent bottle kill, Jim, that Kilkerran 8 is the most recent memory whiskey for me that everyone was just shouting about for so long, and there hasn't been one since. And I think we're all chasing that special bottle that grips you in a way that others don't. And they're few and far between at the minute, which is sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, I gotta think that there's a point in the journey where everyone starts looking for new flavors and new experiences. And is this whiskey a little bit different? And, I think I've gotten to that point. I think Tom has kind of gotten to that point as well, based on what he said. And so that's an attraction for me. And then to what Will said, there's also the whiskeys that kind of have you flash back to a memory, or, you have something tied to it, whether it's a whiskey festival or a time that you were out with your friends or something, and a whiskey that can kind of bring you back to that time. And if there's an emotional attachment, like when I was in Scotland, Roy and Blair came to the hotel, and we had some whiskey there, and it's a special time that you can't, it stands out from all the other times. And I was just trying a whiskey that Jimmy Legg, as most of us know, he bottled this Springbank, there at the distillery. First time I opened it was right now, and he said, he put a little inscription on here. It said, complete perfection. I can't argue with that. That's Jimmy Legg, right? But you know what? He's right. This is awesome. This is Springbank, and hey, emotional attachment, great whiskey. What can you ask for more than that?
Well said. And I think, That's the thing. There's a lot of sentiment in it, Drew, and I think even it's not even sentiment. It's every now and again. Springbank are one of those distilleries that are just a good example of every now and again it doesn't hurt to just go back and pour yourself a Springbank 10 or a Springbank whatever. Craigellachie to me are one of those. As a matter of fact, that's not a bad one to sort of to think about maybe going forward. Something to talk about in the future is, and I'm sure we've talked about it before, but those distilleries that can reset your palate. That if you're starting to lose interest or wane a bit, even just and starting to that just remind you. I get asked regularly, what's so if you whenever I tell people I prefer Scotch whiskey to Irish whiskey, well, what Scotch whiskey do you turn to then? Pardon me, and I find myself a little dumbstruck. And I can't really answer because I would imagine that most of us in here, and this is the thing, that if you've got somebody who's not really into their whiskey, but the thing about this isn't really a soundbox for people who aren't into their whiskey. This is a soundbox for people who are into whiskey. There's very few people who aren't into whiskey who are watching this. Some maybe, but but I would say I could probably narrow down to about 5 whiskies, not even distilleries, but just whiskies that I could happily say if I was stuck on a desert island and I could pick 5 whiskies and that was all that I would have, Scotch whiskies that would be good reset whiskies that I would say I'll never fall out with. The likes of, as I say, the Springbank 10 still a classic, Craigellachie 13, bottlings like that just I could quite happily spend the rest of my days with. And this is probably
it's not 5 bottles of Loch Lomond, Jim? No.
I don't even know how to answer that without being cheeky about it. Sorry. Look, the thing about it is, Loch Lomond's another one. There's another one that I forgot about there, but they are mentioned. And the thing about Loch Lomond and what we all love about Loch Lomond is what you get for your money. That's what I always say about Loch Lomond, that it's the quality you get for the money. It's hard to beat. I feel like as if I'm digging my way into a hole here. So, yeah, I might reverse very quickly before I do so. But no, it's a very good point. That Drew, what you were saying there, definitely very good point. Sorry, there are other people dropping in there. I was just looking. Gordon Fraser had come in. Gordon, how are you? Steve Risk, good day from Perth. Andy Cross, good to see you, Andy. 10 out of 10. My my 10 out of 10 man. Craig Blair was in earlier on. I don't know whether I mentioned it. Craig, good to see you. Listen, I know, as I said, that's not bad. We managed to, out of 10 people there, we managed to fly through a blind tasting in an hour and a half. And as I said, we did sort of fly through it, but I never really intended. Anybody who knows my live streams knows that I don't like to hang about too long. And then what happens is we'll go back into the green room. We're there to 3 o'clock in the morning. But that'll not happen tonight. Gentlemen, thank you all for joining me. I hope you all enjoyed that. It was a bit of crack. Just
Thank
you. Thank you, Jim.
Have a great holiday season. I always say holiday season now because you never want to offend anybody. Heaven forbid. And as I say, thank you for joining me. I'll see you in the green room, of course. But gentlemen, thank you. Genuinely, thank you all for showing up tonight. I wasn't expecting so many to turn out, and new and old Highlands. It's good to see you all in. Lee J, I'll speak to you in a minute. Let's just drop
Cheers,
you out one at a time here.
See you later.
Cheers, buddy. Drew,
Thanks, Jim.
all the way over there. Thank you, my friend, as always. See you in a moment. Tony, where are you? There you are.
Thanks.
I'll see you in a minute, mate. Although I seem to see you all the time anyway, but I'll see you in a minute. Nigel.
Thanks for having us, Jim.
The closest one in proximity to me, but I haven't seen you in ages. I'll see you soon, buddy. Tom. There he is. I'll send you the rest of the bottle. Cheers, buddy. I'll speak to you in a minute. Ryan.
Cheers, Jim. Thanks, everyone.
Cheeky one. I'll see you in a minute, mate. Willie, thanks for coming in, mate. Genuinely good to have you in here, buddy. And welcome to the Highlands. It feels like a bit of a beast in the night, I suppose, but you know.
Yep. Nope.
Cheers,
Great.
buddy.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Last man standing.
First in, last out. I'll see you in a minute, mate. Cheers. There you go. Look, it was, as I say, that was all a bit. I suppose my live streams are always a bit unscripted. I always try to keep them tidy and neat and looking professional. Never going to happen. Never. Sure, that's not what it's about. It's about having a bit of fun, isn't it? Thank you all for joining in the chat tonight. Have a great holiday season, a Merry Christmas, a Kwasi Kwanzaa, whatever you want to do, whatever it is that you're doing. Just look, stay safe, have a good time. I'll be back reviewing soon enough. But I'm always around. I'm always around. I'm always around. And thank you all for being in the chat. It's very much appreciated. It genuinely is. I love you all. And I'm going to see you all in the new year. I've got plans for other live streams. I've got plans for this, that, and the other thing. But until then, have a good, safe, and something Christmas. I'll see you all soon. Sláinte. I'm sure there was something I wanted to say, and I can't remember what it was. So I'll just leave it and say Sláinte. Cheers, folks.